Robbie K coming at you again tonight, this time hitting up his second movie of the week, and more so looking into actually getting out on an hour that's decent and not 9 o'clock. Yes, my friends, welcome to Robbie's Movie Reviews, and tonight we cover Peppermint. Now, if you haven't seen the trailers for it, it's been promoted as essentially a female version of Taken, starring the lovely Jennifer Garner as the woman who is like Wonder Woman without the superpowers, or at least not the comic book superpowers. Essentially the premise is that a cartel decides to take revenge and picks the wrong person's family to kill in a drive-by shooting. The result? A pissed-off woman who is ready to get justice for her family after the law department itself fails to bring its accurate brand of justice, leading to essentially a woman who goes into hiding/training and comes back with a deadly secret, aka Liam Neeson's powers from many years ago. It's Peppermint. It's an action thriller. It's a crime. And is it worth going through? Well, that's where I'm here to help you out. So for those of you who like a quick summary, the verdict is this. Peppermint is actually not that bad of a movie. Yeah, if you try to compare it to Taken, the truth is that for me, it just doesn't quite live up to what Taken did in terms of pacing, plot, / engagement. But it does a pretty dang good job of being a modern representation. It's got edge, it's got bite, it's got a lot of heart to it. And it's surprisingly a little more of an edge than I was anticipating. You know, seeing as violence has kind of upped its game over the last decade, I believe it fits very well with today's modern population. Primarily, those in the role of the feminist group who are wanting to see girl power come back with a massive, massive aggression. This one does it for you. It's a sense of vigilante justice, and it works very well. But as I said, it doesn't quite live up to some of the other movies that we have in regards to that's preceded it. I'm sorry for mumbling. But in addition, it needs a little more character development. I can't say that I really like the way that they had done the presentation at the beginning. And I think it actually just needed a little more action-paced collaboration with stuff. I should say it needed a little more in terms of collaborating to make the action scenes as edgy, as fast-paced as I think maybe we're looking for in the trailers. And, you know, it is a bit of a knockoff at times. I gotta verify what some of the other reviews have said. It is a bit of a knockoff. But at the same time, it's actually a solid movie, and because of the special effects, it's definitely worth the scope out in the movie theater. So, you know, take a look into it and be prepared to have a fun action flick one. But if you're not prone to violence, especially some torturing, not really looking into kind of another Taken knockoff, then you really need to kind of hold back and wait for this one to come out on DVD. Until then, that's the short version of it. Want the scores? Head to the end of this video, but for those who like detail, let's hit stage 2 as I open my big mouth even more. Now, when it comes to likes, it's essentially this. First of all, I love Jennifer Garner in this one. I know that she's gotten a lot of kind of interesting mixed press just due to the fact that she is, you know, the Capital One girl and hasn't quite hit the jaw-dropping roles that she's done in a while. But the woman gets props from this reviewer because, number one, she plays a lot of diverse roles in a lot of different target audience movies, whether it be religiously heavy to kind of the kid-friendly films with that Alexander and the No Good, Bad, Horrible Day. And even more so in movies like this today. She's a chameleon in terms of the roles she's playing. So kudos for her being willing to take on a lot of these roles. She did fine with the key role, bringing enough edge and sarcasm to, or not sarcasm, enough edge and justice to it to, you know, warrant getting behind her, and definitely representing the female actress as well in terms of, you know, just say no and yeah, we can kick some pretty serious butt too. So, you know, she rocks it on that. We'll get more onto some of the acting bits later, but overall, fantastic job. Supporting cast do their role very well too, so the acting is pretty decent when it comes to an action movie. In regards to the pace, it's not as good as Taken for yours truly, but it's actually better than some of the pacing of The Equalizer for me. Not as long and not as heavy-handed. Peppermint really comes in to give you that action flick, but not so much that it's just action on steroids, aka something like Crank or one of the kind of foreign movies that looks to push the action to incredible levels. Overall, you know, it really worked for me in terms of that regards. So a good balance in terms of pace. Special effects, hey, explosions, choreography, and sound editing, top notch in a popular category movie. So bravo for kind of being able to once again show that we can make bullet and gunfights actually pretty exciting with that beautiful sound editing. So, you know, kudos to that. In regards to the action, I gotta say that it's kind of a mix. Again, I hate saying that I've got to compare it to Taken, but I mean, this is what they were trying to mimic it as slash model it after. So when it comes to that, I would say that it's kind of a hybrid between Equalizer and Taken. It's a little more edgier and darker, as you see in the Equalizer, but it's not so slow, mundane slash Home Alone-ish where we're using improvised tools to do it. This is a straight up shooter, and they do a fantastic job kicking it into high gear once the adrenaline and momentum build. So that's where kind of the highlights of the action are. In addition, the action is decently spaced as well. So it's not like one and done. Though, again, it's not like, again, Taken, where almost every scene had something epic and adrenaline spiking going. So it's a big mixture between those two. In addition to that, again, the choreography is there, but there are some shortcomings of it that I'll get to in kind of a minute. But outside of that, I guess it's the fact that I give them props that it was to the point as well. So kudos there. Let's get to the dislikes. When it comes to the story, I'm all about kind of the justice-filled, even though it's a very shallow, very single linear plot. But you know what really works is the fact that, again, it just really kind of gives her a good story behind it. The problem is, and this is just for me being probably the picky one, but, you know, stay with me on this. When you look at Taken, when you look at Equalizer, the character development is there. You're learning about the character. You see the character progress and grow, and you get to see them kind of gradually get used to acclimating this world to their world, and more than likely finding ways to kind of adapt to the lifestyle and move on to the traumas at hand. And this one, she's starting to do that, and they hint at it, but they don't follow up with it. Maybe this is because of the kind of the complex opening, which is another dislike. When you do that kind of flip-flop, there's got to be an art to it, as in a relevance to it. And in this movie, I just didn't feel that was needed to be present day, jump back to the past to explain it, and then do present day again. It's just not my cup of tea. I like a little more linearity unless there's a purpose behind it, and I just didn't see it for that movie. Regardless, there was a little more that they could have done with her character to expand upon her and show kind of how epic she really could have been, and seeing the new changes outside of her just kicking a lot of serious butt. At least that's my opinion anyway. In regards to kind of the secondary characters, again, lots of hinting at stuff. Did a decent job with a few of the more prominent secondary characters. But again, only touching it because it was more of an action movie. Now I get it, with more character development becomes more length. But given the way that they were setting this movie up, that time could have easily been utilized to make this a strong movie by itself and build to what they're probably going to do with it. AKA what's happened with Equalizer and Taken, no surprise. And if you haven't gotten that franchise. Regardless, if that's the way that they're going to look into doing this, perhaps we need to maybe focus on each individual movie to get to the point if you're going to look into making trilogies. Anyway, there's hope that maybe they'll expand on that. But if the movie was looking at standing alone, it just needed a little more of the stuff that they were touching base on, just in case this doesn't cast out. In regards to kind of some of the other things, yes, there's a lot of kind of Taken knockoff components to it, and when it comes to that, you're going to see a lot of very big similarities outside of the fact that instead of someone being kidnapped, the person is dead from the beginning of the movie. So as a result, you know, people who are just going to get really caught up on that, you're going to hate this movie. For me, yeah, I get it, it's not original, but I can still cope with it, and I'm still okay with it because it's actually a good baseline. You sometimes have to use inspiration. I don't feel they knocked it off too much and to warrant it being just awful. In regards to the other things I was going to talk about, in terms of acting with Jennifer Garner herself, I guess technically if you think about how a character in this situation would most likely react, behave, etc., it's probably pretty accurate, to be honest. However, in terms of a movie magic camera acting, it's not the most emotionally diverse role. What I love about The Equalizer is Denzel's got that nice spectrum as things continue to progress. This one, it's very linear, constant, and not the most engaging acting, or I should say, most engaging emotional spectrum. Again, I get it. I'm fine with it. I'm just having to kind of point out as much as I can. She still did a great job. It's just not as well balanced as some of the other leads of it. But again, there's potential based on the franchise effect. Finally, when it comes to the action, again, I was actually very happy with sort of the balance behind it. But you guys know me if you've been following me. I'm an action junkie. And what I love about faster-paced movies is more of the adrenaline rush. This one had those, dang, and yes, and justice-filled moments, which are great. But it still doesn't quite match the pace of some of the other ones. And that is where I'm looking for. Now, I get it. It's realistic combat. Fantastic. And I totally appreciate the realism. So we can chalk that up for a like. But there's a little more movie magic into it that I would have liked to see, just to kind of amp it up. Maybe I'm picky, which most likely I am, but I'm just kind of pulling out all the stops as I do my analysis. This brings me to finally the summary of it. Is Peppermint a good movie? The answer is yes. It delivers on what it does. Should you see it in theaters? Well, that really depends on you. If you're looking for more of the fast-paced, take-in, rip-roaring adventure, then you've essentially got like maybe a hybrid of this movie. But if you're looking in regards to it, to just being as fast-paced, don't count on it. In regards to what you're looking for into it, it's an okay movie. It's got decent stuff, predictable. Probably not as balanced as the excuse me. Probably not as balanced as kind of the... It's probably not as action-packed as a lot of people are expecting, because when it says from the producer of Taken, it's not quite all the way there and not quite as engaging a character. So maybe you're a Liam Neeson hotshot fan, maybe you're not. But if you're looking for a big feminist power, awesome female lead who's kicking a lot of butt, bringing the justice, and giving you that kind of action edge, this is going to be a movie for you. And probably, at the moment, tied for the lead, unless one of the other two movies surprises me, will probably stay for my movie of the week. Again, there's nothing like over-the-top original about it, because it is a creative movie, and it's not quite up to the blockbuster effects I think they want. But it's still worth getting a try if you're looking for just that little action edge, and especially a strong female lead character. We'll have to see what happens with this to see if it will go on to the next phase, in which case I hope they kind of touch on some of those character development roles. But otherwise, if not, this is a good one-stop shop, and then probably more so for DVD for many of you. Special effects do, of course, make it worthy of a trip to the theater. So what's my scores now if you're skipping to it? Well, that's going to bring it to essentially, in its action category, probably a 7. Maybe a 6.5 at the lowest. Movie overall, probably a 6 to be fair. Anyways, guys, Robbie K, either with my last movie review of the weekend, or potentially bringing you more, depending on how the things come out tomorrow. Until then, please like, share, comment, and really help me make this better for you guys, because that's what I want to do. If there's a different style, if there's something I need to do to kind of help you guys, that's my aim. But otherwise, have a great weekend, and thank you very much for supporting. Bye!